I have a question for you. What do these next four songs have in common, besides being top 10 hits on the Billboard charts?
And when I die, and when I'm gone, Eli's coming hard, your heart girl. Eli's coming hard, your heart girl.
Ever gonna see my wedding day? Going down the story, I wanted to go down the story.
Well, they were all written by the same person, the great Laura Nyro. Hi, I'm Henry Mateus. Welcome to my YouTube channel at Stickdoghank. The purpose of this video is to bring more well-deserved recognition to one of pop music's greatest songwriters. Her name was Laura Nyro. We all know her music, but many have no idea who she was. This is not a documentary about her entire life. That wouldn't be possible in a short film. This video is about her music and the other artists that were touched and influenced by her music, including me. Laura Nyro was born in the Bronx, New York City on October 18th, 1947. She once said in an interview that she was never a bright and happy child. In her early years, she taught herself piano, read poetry, and listened to her mother's records, mainly Nina Simone, Judy Garland, and Billie Holiday. Laura was already writing songs when she was a teenager. She was in high school when she wrote Eli's Coming, which would become a massive hit for Three Dog Night in June of 1969. She was only 17 when she composed And When I Die, which would also be a huge hit for the Blood, Sweat, and Tears in September 1969. It peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. The number 1 spot was none other than the double A-side single by the Beatles, of course, Come Together and Something. Pretty impossible to beat that record for the number 1 spot. Probably her most recognized song is Wedding Bell Blues. I think everyone knows and loves this beautiful intro. I think from a songwriter's point of view, this is her greatest song, for many reasons. Mainly it is very commercial and speaks to every girl or woman that ever dreamed of getting married someday. That's a lot of people. I, as a man, can't relate 100% to the song, but I definitely feel the desire, frustration, and pain of the woman singing the song. It is real. She wants to marry the guy, but he's dragging his feet. The biggest selling version of Wedding Bell Blues was recorded and released by the Fifth Dimension in November of 1969. It reached number 1 and stayed there for 3 weeks. Again, from a composer's point of view, this is a great song, no matter how you slice it. Great intro, great lyrics, awesome melody, excellent chord structure and arrangement, and most of all, great performances by the singers and musicians in the Fifth Dimension. For over 15 years, I was a karaoke host. I had my own karaoke business in LA, California. Wedding Bell Blues was performed almost every single night by someone, female vocalist of course, at my karaoke shows. It is still a huge song. It has been used in movies and is also in a very popular episode of the hit television show The Gilmore Girls. Wedding Bell Blues has been a part of American culture for over 55 years now. It will always be here. It's not ever going away. It was not a common phrase, but Laura Nyro made this song and it became a common phrase. Thank you for that, Laura Nyro. Now, with all that said, Wedding Bell Blues is not my favorite Laura Nyro song. My favorite is Stony End. Laura did her own version, which is kind of bluesy with soul and has an R&B vibe to it. It's excellent. Some slower versions were recorded by Diana Ross, Linda Ronstadt, and Peggy Lipton. Yes, Peggy Lipton from the Mod Squad. Not just a beautiful actress, Peggy also sang very well and played piano. I met Peggy in the 1980s. We worked together on Jane Fonda's workout video disc. I also had the pleasure of meeting her husband at the time, Quincy Jones. What a small world we live in. We'll call that little coincidence number 1. But my favorite version of Stony End is by Barbra Streisand. Without a doubt, another perfect performance by Barbra. Released in September of 1970, it reached number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Please listen to it here on YouTube. Just do a search for Barbra Streisand Stony End. You'll be glad you did. Barbra's previous album What About Today was not a big commercial success at the time. Columbia Records saw it as a failure and wanted to modernize Barbra Streisand's repertoire. They hired Richard Perry to produce Barbara's next album. Perry chose songs written by contemporary artists like Joni Mitchell, Gordon Lightfoot, and of course, Laura Nyro. Perry convinced Barbara to record Stony End. She was reluctant at first. Barbra Streisand said in her own words, "Richard thought Laura Nyro's Stony End would be a hit for me, and I thought he was nuts. I was so happy to be proven wrong." And the song did so well on the charts after being released as a single that they decided to name the entire album Stony End as well, I guess to capitalize on the popularity of the hit single Stony End. The single was recorded in Hollywood, California on July 29, 1970, and released to the public in September 1970. The album was not released until February 1971. The album cover was photographed by Barry Feinstein at Sunrise Mountain, right here in Nevada, about 10 miles from where I live now. Wow, I never knew that. Like I said before, it's a small world. We'll call that little coincidence number 2. I was a small child when I heard this version of the song, and I was drawn to it immediately. The verse is so melodic and smooth, then the chorus hits. Not a typical conventional pop rock chorus. It's almost like 2 choruses put together. When you get Barbra Streisand to sing it, wow, it's a home run. To me, the lyrics suggest a woman that in the first verse loses her faith in religion, then in the second verse gets heartbroken by love, then finally third verse gives up on the world and herself. The lyrics are serious, but the song is not depressing. It has a great vibe and moves the listener with the melody, harmony vocals, and solid driving beat. It's just a great recording all around of a great Laura Nyro song. Barbra Streisand really nailed that lead vocal. Now, I never met Barbra Streisand, but I did meet her husband, James Brolin. He was the executive producer and star of a hit TV show called Pensacola Wings of Gold. And they used several of my original songs in that TV series. You can say that was my first lucky break. We'll call that little coincidence number 3. When I first heard Stony End, I didn't even know what the singer was saying. It just sounded great and felt really good. And that's what great music is supposed to do, make us feel. Sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes angry. Great music touches our emotions. Laura Nyro was an excellent singer and pianist, as well as being an excellent composer. She released several albums of her own before any other artists discovered her songs and re-recorded them. She was a performing and recording artist. She was not writing songs for other artists. She was writing songs for her own albums. Other artists heard her music and wanted to redo her songs. Of course she let them. How do you say no to great artists like Three Dog Night, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, The Fifth Dimension, Peter, Paul, and Mary, Barbra Streisand, just to name a few. So yeah, Laura got serious royalty money. No one succeeds in anything all by themselves without help, including Laura Nyro. She wrote songs by herself, but her manager and the person that got her signed by a major record label was none other than a young David Geffen. Yes, the same David Geffen that would own the best record label of the 1980s. He became Laura's manager around 1968, and they were the best of friends. The two of them established a publishing company, Tuna Fish Music, and they divided the proceeds of Laura's compositions equally, just like Elvis and Colonel Parker. Geffen arranged a new recording contract for Laura with Clive Davis at Columbia Records. In 1968, Columbia released the Laura Nyro album, Eli and the 13th Confession. Great album, definitely considered one of her best works. In 1969, Geffen and Nyro sold Tuna Fish Music to CBS for $4.5 million. The 50-50 split made them both millionaires. That was in 1969, when $4.5 million was a lot of money. Laura continued to write and record and perform, and other very famous artists continued to record her songs too. A win-win for everyone. Laura was asked to perform live on Saturday Night Live, but declined. She was pursued by The Tonight Show and The Late Show with David Letterman, but turned them down too. She just didn't like the way she looked on TV. Many performers have that issue. It happens. It's okay. I wish she would have done the shows, but appearing on TV made her feel uncomfortable. She didn't need the money, so no worries, right? In late 1996, Laura Nyro was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, the same disease that killed her mother, Gilda. Laura lived to see the release of Stone Soul Picnic, the best of Laura Nyro, in 1997. She died of ovarian cancer in Danbury, Connecticut on April 8, 1997, at age 49, the same age at which her mother died. Her ashes were scattered beneath a maple tree on the grounds of her home in Danbury. Laura Nyro was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame on April 14, 2012. The induction speech was delivered by her friend, singer, and movie star Bette Midler. The award was accepted by Laura's son, Gil Bianchini. The song Stony End was performed by Sarah Bareilles at the induction ceremony. Please watch Sarah Bareilles' Stony End here on YouTube. She did an outstanding job. So, Laura Nyro was married to Vietnam War veteran David Bianchini in October 1971. They divorced in 1975. Before she married David, she had relationships with Jim Fielder from the Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Then after that, with Dallas Taylor, the drummer for Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Then after that, with singer-songwriter Jackson Browne. Men just loved her. She had everything: beauty, talent, brains, style. Laura Nyro was the real deal, a heavy hitter. She influenced generations of songwriters and artists with her beautiful music. Here are just a few of her biggest fans and admirers and artists she influenced: Joni Mitchell, Carole King, Tori Amos, Ricky Lee Jones, Elton John, Elvis Costello, Alice Cooper, Jackson Browne, Cyndi Lauper, Todd Rundgren, Steely Dan, Melissa Manchester, Bette Midler. The list goes on and on. Paul Schaefer, bandleader of The David Letterman Show, stated that his Desert Island album would be Eli and the 13th Confession. Alice Cooper said,
Laura Nyro was my favorite of all time. She's my favorite female artist of all time.
Todd Rundgren said,
Laura Nyro, who's a big songwriting influence on me. And the thing that really tipped it, I was interested in what she was doing. I liked her songwriting, but she put in an album called Eli and the 13th Confession.
She went to high school and was friends with singer-songwriter Janice Ian, who wrote the mega hit at 17.
I learned the truth at 17, that love was meant for beauty queens.
I can hear the Laura Nyro influence whenever I listen to other female artists like Ricky Lee Jones, Susanna Vega, and even Alanis Morissette. It is obvious to me when I listen to Laura Nyro that the songs were not written just for the purpose of selling records and making money by having hit songs. Her songs are real, unconventional works of art. Some more commercial than others, but always honest and from the heart. They really grab the listener and take us to another place, at least for 3 or 4 minutes. Please get one of her albums. You'll like it. Thank you for the music, Laura Nyro. I love you.
And when I'm dead, dead and
gone. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe.